Hi there, I'm Sunny Parker, and today I am filming my absolute first YouTube video. And I am honored today to be here with Shelby Erickson with the Highlands Fire District. He's the superintendent for the Bear Jaw Type 2 Initial Attack Crew. All right, Shelby, so let's talk a little bit about what area does your unit serve and what is unique about it?
Well, I'm employed by Highlands Fire District, but there's folks on our crew that are employed by Pinewood Fire District as well. So, fire districts serve an area, kind of a box on a map. But if you live in that area, part of your property taxes go to support fire district, fire department. If you call 911, you receive a service. Back in '96, there were a lot of fires throughout Flagstaff that bumped into communities, and they realized a green truck doesn't just fight wildland fire. Red trucks don't just fight structural fires. So there was a blending of duties and an emergency management response, and out of that spawned some fuels programs throughout the Flagstaff area. City of Flagstaff, Summit Fire District, Pinewood Fire District, Highlands Fire District, and by 2000, I think most of those fire districts and fire departments had fuels programs. So our fuels program is a little different, being that we've signed into agreements with the different departments to fund some people to go through and do firewise assessments for individuals that live within our fire district and help inform them on how they can stay safe and what they can do to protect themselves if there were to be a fire in the neighborhood.
So I'm just curious. I met you, even though I live in Cave Creek, and I run a group called Arizona Foothills 911, and that's an area we actually met Shelby because he was actually with his group out there fighting a fire. And I'm not even quite sure at this point why you were there. Can you explain to us why you were there, how you got there, and how your agency works? Because apparently I just found out that you're going all over the place, including you'll be heading to Oregon shortly.
We just got back from Idaho, so we're a nationally available resource, and fire seasons kind of rotate throughout the nation. And there's not enough firefighters in any one place to put those fires out. So there's people that would be the chess players. We're just the pawn as fires kick off somewhere else and it dies down like monsoon season here in Arizona. If we get a fire, it's going to stay small. They ship us out to other places that have a need for firefighting resources. So if it's not burning here and it was down in your neck of the woods the last couple of years, they send us to those fires. And sometimes they're a day, sometimes they're 14. I think we spent almost 60 days as a crew in Oregon a few years back. We are just a pawn in the game. It sounds odd to hear it that way, but there are people, and the nation's broke down into regions. So in that region, like the Southwest being Arizona, New Mexico, and there's a shred of Oklahoma and Texas on the far west end of those states. Whatever's happening in that geographical area, they move those firefighting resources around and bring people from elsewhere to that area. So we get told where we're going and we just go do our job. So we do a lot of fuels mitigation here locally. That's why we're here. And then we go out and fight fires elsewhere, which is actually great training for the guys. If you want to know how not to catch on fire, we spend a whole season putting fires out, and you understand what you need to inform folks. So it works out pretty well.
So what is the difference between, per se, a wildland firefighter and what a group of firefighters would do if they worked, per se, for a city fire department? What is the biggest difference? I mean, I get it that they're wildlands, but what are the training do you have that maybe they don't have?
It's not much different. Our structural firefighters, in a place where you have a fire regime, meaning it burns every so often. It's just nature is going to do that. Ponderosa pine stands burn fairly readily and often. And if it were to be a healthy ecosystem, they would. So our structural firefighters at our department are actually cross-trained to be wildland firefighters as well. So those guys fight house fires and wildland fires. But for our fire district, they work here 24 hours a day. And if a 911 call comes in, they respond to that, be it whatever the emergency may be. And it could be a wildland fire. For our crew, we do fuels reduction and then only get called out for wildland fires. And in the true sense of firefighting, there's engines that have water to squirt the fire out, which works very well. And in fact, most of the fires that start throughout the nation are put out by engine companies with water. The ones that get out because it was too windy or too steep and it goes up a mountain, that's where we come in. So the crew goes and fights a fire, and you walk up a mountain and put the fire out, where there's not a road perhaps, and that's how we're utilized.
So you're saying that you walk up a mountain, which brings us to a really good point. One of the reasons I'm here is because they are funded very differently than, per se, the city firefighters. Can you give us a little bit of an idea of how the funding comes for the wildland firefighters as opposed to something where the cities are paying for taxes in their
Yeah,
homes?
we could probably do like an hour episode on this, but to break it down simply, in a fire district, the people that live in that fire district pay property taxes on the property they own. That money is collected by the county and given to the fire district. That is their budget for the year. Our our crew, being 22 people, only has 6 people funded through those funds, and those are the overhead for the crew. The other 16 employees are paid for by grants that we get. We do fee for service work elsewhere and help other people do their prescribed burns and thin for them as well. So that money comes in a different way to pay for the seasonals on the crews. So I am funded by the people in the fire district with the taxes they pay, much like all the other folks that work for the department. Our seasonal workforce is paid for by our work. So we have to go work so we can hire people back.
So with that said, last year, Arizona Foothills 911 and an amazing group of people were able to raise enough money to purchase some flashlights for you all.
Yeah.
And we were also able to buy them cots so they don't have to sleep on the ground and get stung by scorpions, as I clearly remember one of your guys saying.
Yes.
So I found out recently that they have a UTV. And would you explain to people what exactly UTV is? Because I'm not sure what the difference is between a UTV and ATV. So I'll let you make that clarification.
ATV being a quad you ride on by yourself. A UTV has a bench seat or something like that. You can put more people in and equipment in the back. We bought one back in 2013. It's hard to raise funds for capital purchases for us that way. It's actually completely broken right now, so it's not even going on fires with us. But that UTV being like a Polaris Ranger or a Can-Am, I don't know all the companies, to be honest with you, but we have a Polaris Ranger is what we have. So we utilize that to, one, not break everyone's back, that can shuttle fuel in. Each one of those 5-gallon jerry's of fuel weighs quite a bit. So if someone has to carry that 1.5 miles down even a road, that's difficult. So we use that to get equipment in, save the guys' backs, and that also is a faster evac way out for folks if someone is to be injured on an incident there. So.
Okay, so that brings us to a very important point and something I want to talk about. And it's that right now, I just truly believe that we as a community, we as a people, and actually people throughout the country, because these gentlemen go all over the country, I would like us to help them buy a UTV. They don't have one. My biggest concern for them right now is if one of their guys gets injured, there's only one way for them to get them out right now, and that would be to carry them out, as they do go into really rugged terrain. So they are desperately in need of a new UTV, and the price on a Polaris that they need is in the range between $32,000 and $38,000. It is critical that they have this, again, for many reasons. Unlike the fire guys that are on trucks, they're literally hiking in, sleeping on the ground, and then somebody gets to get that UTV in. Again, when they have to carry in large containers of fuel, when they have to carry in any kind of equipment, you're adding to their backpacks. And I don't recall, what is the weight of your backpacks that you guys carry in?
Oh, probably good average weight's 40 to 45 pounds. Our Sawyers, some of their packs are upwards of 50-something pounds.
Okay, so upwards of 50 pounds. So now, I think one of the most important things for me is their safety. And that is why last year we spearheaded the group to try and get them flashlights, because I really believe that they needed to each have one, not just 2. And I'm very thankful for everybody who participated and helped that happen. But now I'm asking you to reach deep into your hearts and realize that, we want Shelby to come home to his family. We want every one of those 22 gentlemen to come home to their families. So I'm not sure exactly how we're going to start this fundraising, but we'll probably have a GoFundMe page for this, which we'll talk about, and you'll see something at the bottom of your screen at some point. And perhaps you'll also take Venmo donations or whatnot. Again, this is for an extremely incredible cause, and that is your firefighters, to get them to where they go from point A to point B, ensuring that they're safe and ensuring that if there is ever a situation where one of our firefighters is injured, that they can quickly get them out on a UTV as opposed to carrying them out on a stretcher. So we'll talk a little bit more about fundraising, and we'll continue going on this platform until we reach that amount of money that we're looking for. Would you like to say anything else about this UTV right now and why you really would like to have one for your guys?
Well, I think anyone that goes out to the woods can understand that the road systems are deteriorating. The Forest Service doesn't fund grading their roads and keeping up on that any longer. So a majority of the places we go, we can't even drive all the way. So we end up parking and walking in. That UTV does allow myself, my assistant, and some of the squad bosses to get in and actually get a picture of what's happening prior to getting a truck, if a truck can make it through there, or walking in. So it's good for our situational awareness when we get to a new incident. You have to figure out what's happening right now, and sometimes that's difficult. So that's a big part of why we utilize it majority of the time, honestly.
Okay, so I want to ask you a couple more questions. What is the most difficult thing to you about being a wildland firefighter?
You should probably ask my wife. You know, we spend some time away from home, and I think anyone that's in this line of work, that's part of it. And there's numerous professions that take you away from the house. It's difficult raising a family. You miss birthdays, you miss weddings, you miss anniversaries, you miss a lot of stuff, and you do end up giving up a lot. So I could say it's the physical demands, because it's difficult to keep hiking up the mountain and digging the line and moving logs across the line. But I think realistically, it's probably mentally just being gone from the family. So it's hard to say put family first if we're just gone for 18 days. We didn't even have phone service. So that's probably the hardest part about the job.
Yeah, and I thank you for your services. That's got to be extremely difficult.
Yeah.
So while all of us are at home and enjoying our dinners with our families and making it to graduations, if there's a fire, these gentlemen are out there taking care of us. So that's why we really need to take care of them. So again, thank you for their service. So now I'd like to ask you, what do you love most about being a firefighter?
I think probably, I don't even know. It's a long story how I even got into it. But oh man, it's long. I met the superintendent from Mormon Lake Hot Shots, and his truck broke down, and I hit his starter with the rock because my dad had the same truck and had a bad starter. And he got out and put his hand in his pocket, and I was like, "You don't need to pay me." He's like, "I'm not giving you money. Here's my card. We need guys like you." So that's how I got my foot in the door at the Forest Service a long time ago. It was before, applications were online, all that stuff. So, but the physical demands, I think anyone that came up in a team effort, in sports, and especially demanding sports, it's something you don't quite lose. And when you get out there and you have to go walk to go do your job, and it's hard to get to where you're even going to start working, like, oh my God, I hurt, and then there's fire, and there's stressful situations, but for the most part, it's just, there's a puzzle every day, and it's something new, and it's not in a box. You have to design the box to keep that fire in that place. So that it's putting together a lot of scenarios in your head and bouncing off what's too much risk to put the crew and expose the crew to and mitigate. It's just a puzzle, and every day is a little different. And I think it's been easy on my head. I like that. It's a lot of fun. It's challenging, and it's neat.
Awesome. So Shelby, a lot of times people ask me, what do these guys do out with wildlife? Are they ever rescuing animals? And what does that feel like? And is there anything in particular that you use or that you can use? Or just give me some information about what happens when you're out there.
Yeah. I guess we've saved a couple fawns. Those are baby deer. But we didn't have to do any resuscitation. We carry Fido bags. We haven't had the opportunity to use that on wildlife as of yet. But wildlife's destructive, and if we're there and get a chance to interact that way and could help, typically Game and Fish is involved on a lot of these fires just as security, keeping roads closed, stuff like that. So most of the teams that would take over a fire have a liaison. They could deal with the Game and Fish folks that way. If there were to be something we were to find that we needed help, there would be a professional there that actually knew a little more, and we can assist with that.
But you do carry the Fido bags on your trucks just in case you needed them. Yep. Even if you were to help with a fire into somebody's house or something, you've got that information. You got those with you, right?
Correct. Oh yeah.
Fantastic. You've got those on your truck.
All four of them.
Okay, so that's fantastic. So we want to thank Marie Peck from the Fetch Foundation, as I believe she's the one that donated those to you.
Yeah. So, last fall.
Yes. So thank you very much, Marie and the Fetch Foundation. So
what's a Fido bag?
A Fido bag is a bag that has everything that you need to save an animal. They have the little ambu bag on there, right? So that you can resuscitate a cat or a dog or a fawn or whatever needs to be
We have
resuscitated.
had folks at Highlands Fire with a structural fire utilize that before.
That's fantastic.
Wasn't us, but yeah, they're utilized.
All right. So another question for you. What's one simple way that people can prevent wildfires?
Preventing a wildfire. I think everyone likes to have a campfire when they go camping. It's extinguishing the campfire. There's two main causes of fires around the nation. It's lightning and human caused. Campfires are just one part of that human cause. There's chains on your trailer, throwing sparks out your exhaust. I mean, there's ways people have started fires. A blown tire started a fire here in Flag back in 2005. I think the Woody Fire, we called that one.
Oh.
So one thing they can do to keep from doing that, if you're going to recreate in the woods, is to ensure your chains are up and they're not dragging on the ground, and you extinguish your campfire if it's even allowed and permissible where you're camping at. So that's probably the biggest way we can help each other.
So is there a way that we can help to support your work and learn more about what you do?
I think education, that's actually what we do the most of here in district when we talk with folks at both the fire districts. You can inform yourself online. You can get with Firewise USA through NFPA and educate yourself on how to prepare your property and your house. If there were to be a fire, you would make it through. That's a good start. You may even have a fire department or fire district you're a part of. You can call and they could send someone out to inform you. That's what we do. So people put in requests. We go visit their house, walk around their whole house with them, tell them what they can do to better their odds. There's never a 100% guarantee your house wouldn't burn if there were to be a catastrophic fire, but understand a majority of those homes that burn down aren't from like a wall of fire. It's embers landing, and like big fluffy embers. They're on fire. So if an ember were to land anywhere around your home, what would it catch on fire? And is it touching your house? And would it catch your house on fire?
So probably clearing trees from touching your home is probably a good idea. So
Yeah.
there's nothing that's touching your house that could
We call that
catch fire.
defensible space.
Perfect.
So you do want to have a gap in an envelope. Typically when you build a house, you cut an envelope so there's no trees there and you put your house there. And everyone likes living in the trees. And I can understand it and get it, but we need to get those trees out further. And even if you're good at raking the needles from these ponderosa pine trees, the 1 year grandma's sick or something happened with the family, you have to leave and you have needle cast up in your gutters and all the way up to your wood pile that's touching your house, and that an ember lands in any of that. That's how it's catching on fire.
So can you one more time tell them exactly where it is they go to look online to find this?
Firewise USA, if you Google that, it's through NFPA, National Fire Protection Association. You can educate yourself that way. That it's online, really easy to walk through, and talks about the different zones around your house. And if you live in a community, it's smaller. You aren't going to be treating 100 feet out past your house. That's your neighbor's lot. So there has to be some kind of agreement between you and your neighbors that they can take care of their portion too. Because if you do live in a tighter subdivision, fires catch on a house would catch another house on fire just from the radiant heat even. So that's difficult.
Well, this is going to be wrapping up our first ever YouTube video, and I just want to really say thank you so much. Again, Shelby Erickson with the Bear Jaw Interagency Fire and Fuels Group. And if you'd like to have any more information, please reach out to me at Arizona Foothills 911 at iCloud.com. So let's get together and let's make sure that these guys get a UTV so they can come home safely to their families. Remember, they're out there when they're fighting these fires, sometimes 30 days, sometimes 60 days, sometimes more. Their families are at home. They don't get to go to their children's graduations. They don't get to go to the birthday parties. Their wives are at home carrying the load. So these guys can be out there saving our homes and making sure that we are safe. So I'm asking you again to support this incredible group of firefighters, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, and thank you, Shelby.
It was just happenstance over meeting in the first place, but you've done a lot for us, for our organization, and it means a lot to us. So we've already used the flashlights to call in and talk to helicopters, and they can see them amazingly well, and we use the cots every night now. They're super easy to set up, and I wish we would have had them a long time ago. I can't believe it.
Yeah, that makes my heart bleed, and I want to say thank you to everybody who
thank you guys.
I want to say thank you to everybody who helped to fund this, because those flashlights were expensive. And I do recall that when he asked me for flashlights, I was thinking go to Walmart and buy them for $20. I didn't know that they were so expensive. And when I found out that they were sleeping on the ground, as I've told people before, that just broke my heart, because none of them should have to do that, especially not with what they do. So thank you so much. It's an honor to serve you.
Yeah. Thanks
you.
for being here. I appreciate it, guys.
Take care.